Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eva Talks. This is after long that we have a great speaker with us today on stage, Seth Dechtman. He's a master curator of keynote speakers for conferences and an event strategist with a passion for delivering impactful and unforgettable events. Seth has mastered the art of finding the perfect keynote speakers to captivate audiences and drive meaningful engagement. As a trusted advisor in the industry, Seth's innovative and unconventional speaker choices have consistently delivered exceptional value, leaving a lasting impression on their audience worldwide. Welcome to Eva Talks, Seth. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Radhika. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
That is so great to hear. So it's a Monday evening and we are here in India, and let's start with our questions that we have to ask you. So shall we begin?
Of course, let's begin.
That is great. All right. So could you tell us about your professional journey and the keynote curators?
Absolutely. Being the owner and the founder and the president of the Keynote Curators is a little bit of a convergence of all of my past experiences rolled up into one. I was a teacher for many years in high school, both in North America and abroad overseas. And I am a lifelong traveler. My mother was in the incentive travel business. So I've always been around events and conferences and all sorts of meetings, and combining my love for travel, my background as a teacher, living abroad, and always being around ideas and transformative people. I've converged all that into the Keynote Curators, where I find myself today speaking to you on this podcast, but also providing impactful, meaningful keynote presenters to make a difference for organizations like all of your listeners out there that will hear any of our keynotes and take away the ideas that will make a lasting impact on their attendees and their own businesses.
Yes, no doubt that has been impactful. So that's interesting to hear that your mother was also in the intensive travel industry, and that would have definitely affected your career choice here today. So would you like to tell us something more about it?
Yeah, I can remember going to events, whether it was in Mexico and Puerto Rico and Canada, or my mother coming back from Asia or Europe and sharing with me some anecdotes about, whether it was a former president or a former Olympic athlete that had not only presented at the event, but taken time out to have a conversation during the photo op or have a lunch or share a coffee or a drink. And it was something that always was attractive to me. It appealed to me. As a teacher and a lifelong learner, having the proximity and being part of that pathway of transformation in education is just something that inspires me, motivates me, touches me, and it really lights me up.
That is so good to hear. So great to hear this experience. So in your experience, what are some common mistakes event organizers make when selecting a keynote speaker, and how can they be avoided?
Well, there's a couple. First of all, we say you have to play within your limits. Many people always look for a bargain or always look to, they might have champagne taste with a beer budget. But the reality is, especially in highly sought after speakers, you're not going to find the bargain because the economics of it, the demand is too high, and the supply, their time is just limited to dates on the calendar. So you have to know what your budget is from the outset. Secondly is have clarity when you start your search on what you're looking for. topic, theme, style. Do you want an older person? Do you want a younger person? Do you want somebody who's has experience in a certain industry, or more rural or more urban? Somebody who comes from the corporate world, somebody who comes from the nonprofit world, somebody who really is,
Fits well.
say that it fits well. You're looking for some, you want to
Yes.
have clarity around that. So have your budget set
Yes.
and have clarity around what you're looking for. Those are two really big mistakes. And then
Yes.
start early in the process. Don't wait. And when you have a committee,
Yes.
one other thing that I can think of here, among many things, is when you have a committee, get that committee aligned, get that committee clear on not only the idea and the type of speaker, but the process. You say X amount of time for everybody to bring their ideas, X amount of time to review it, X amount of time to pull down the list, narrow it down, and then go ahead and let's execute some offer. Because if you wait and
Yes.
wait and wait, you're not going to get who you want. If you don't have a clear process in place, the committee can kind of meander all over the place. And then you're bumped up with registration opening and you still don't have your agenda completed. Those are some of the things that you need to look out for and how to avoid them.
Yes. It just says everything should be, fitting well. It should be around your budget. Planning, strategizing is very, very needed. So that is something, a key takeaway that we have from this question. All right, now let's move to another one. How can event organizers balance the need for a well-known speaker with the desire for fresh perspectives and unique insights at an event?
Yeah, Radhika, this happens all the time. There is the hot speaker of the moment or the flavor of the month or a topic that's really trending. And
Yeah.
many meeting professionals, with good reason, flock to that idea or are pulled or drawn to that idea or that trend. And it's a trend for a reason, because people want it, people are attracted to it, and it works and it makes a difference. But underneath
Yes.
that, I think what's more important, Radhika, is what serves your attendees. The people that are at your event, that are there seeking the networking, seeking the content, seeking the engagement, seeking all the activations, what's going to serve them? Is it just a big name that attracts, it's kind of getting a lot of likes on a social media
Yeah.
account? Or is it something that's really content rich, something that's specifically dialed in to the audience, to what they need, what
Yes.
the mood of that industry or that organization is? Now, Radhika, it can exist as both. It can be a well-known, dare I say, celebrity speaker that also has a message or is emblematic or representative of an idea, a concept, a theme, a topic that the attendees are hungry for, looking for, and need. Okay? It can exist. They're not mutually exclusive. But the meeting professional, the meeting planners that I work with, the most successful one, the ones that get the best feedback, the best reviews, are the ones that have the desires and the focus and what the attendees need as the priority first.
Yes. So it's very important for us to actually know what we are looking for. If our event is about, or our topic of the moment is not matching with the current trends, it's not always that we have to follow the trends. We should be going more with what actually we are trying to serve our audience. That is very important for us to note, because at times a lot of organizers go with what is trending, and maybe the people or the audience is looking for something more meaningful than that. So that was really important for us to share with the audience. All right. So, what are some key factors you consider when selecting a speaker to ensure they're aligned with the event's objectives? Just like we just discussed, any more tips that you have for
Absolutely.
aligning?
Absolutely. Couple of things. Are they easy to work with? Are they accessible? And are they responsive? Some speakers
Right.
are obviously busy and they're not as responsive. So are they attending to your requests, to your questions, to what you're looking for to make the best decision. And then once you're contracted or once you're committed with that speaker, are they willing to do things like provide a pre-registration video that you might be able to post on social media or even on the registration site? Provide maybe a blog, engage in your social media account and start establishing a relationship with the attendees before they even get on stage. These are thing that you need to look out for. It's not necessarily even added value. It's just that this is an active participant in your agenda. It's not just an agenda item. It's somebody that can connect with the audience, establish that connection, plant a seed, and have it grow from before they present, while they present, and after they present. Also, are they available on site to mingle, to engage, to show up at a cocktail, at another offsite activity if schedule permits? Look for those kind of speakers that are open, willing, and aren't opposed to making themselves available.
Yes, very, very crucial and very important. So thank you for these tips too, to add to our last pointers that Seth just added, that it's very important to align with the objectives of the event. So how to adapt your speaker selection approach for virtual or hybrid events, and what unique challenges do these formats pose?
It's a great question. So the best thing to do when you're adapting a keynote speaker that we're curating here at the Keynote Curators for a virtual event versus a live event is get a sense of how the planner, the meeting professional is executing the event, what the platform is like, see if you can drive it, if you can test it, if you can get in there and get a sense about it. Some speakers still in today's day and age, post-pandemic, are more savvy than others. Then you need to know about the audience. What's the makeup of the audience? Are they digitally aware? Or are they tech savvy? Because you don't want a slideshow happening exclusively on your virtual event. It's not good. You don't want just a talking head. You want a little bit of a balance, and you want a speaker that you can work with that's facile and has a skill set to be able to drive a little bit of technology, whether it's engaging in raising hands, as simple as raising hands in a chat, or being able to interact with some short survey or a little bit of a poll so that there's some live interaction that keeps people plugged in. Also, it's very important, is the speaker able to program into their presentation a little bit of breakout session, just a minute. People break out, they go, they can share with the partner, they come back. And that breaks up the monotony of that one way from the screen to the listener, so that you're bringing in a little bit more texture and a little bit more interaction into a virtual presentation. And that's what you need to look out for in speakers that you're selecting. Do they have that ability?
Yes, quite important for a virtual event, because right now with COVID scenes, we had so many types of event formats now. We never would have imagined that virtual events would have been a trending thing. But now that we have to set ourselves, and also the speakers need to come up with a lot of new changes to adapt to that. So thank you for it. So can you share some tips or advice for event organizers looking to find and secure the perfect keynote speaker for their next event?
Yes. So it's a little bit, I'll just build upon, Radhika, what we talked about at the outset of our conversation. Have clarity about what you're looking for. And then stick with that. So take your time. If there's a committee or a few stakeholders, sit down and really define the parameters and the specifications of what you're looking for. Then understand what your real budget is, when you want to have them in the agenda. As far as, is it morning? Is it afternoon? What's the time slot? Is it 45 minutes? Is it 60 minutes? What's ideal for you? Do you want a full speech? Do you want a partial Q&A? Do you want all moderated conversation? all these parameters need to be defined up front. Again, I'll beat the dead horse and say, know what your budget is. Then
Yes.
partner up with somebody like me, like the keynote curators, that can save you time, do some
Yes.
pre-vetting, meaning they know based on what you shared with them about your group. Is it a conservative group? Is it a little bit more progressive group? Is it a group that has gone through a lot of changes? Was there a merger or an acquisition? Is the industry in turmoil? You want to provide the search, all that, the person helping you with the search, all that information to take into account. Who have you had recently? Do you want to continue that trend or do
Yeah.
you want to break it? Did you have somebody who was a former government official or a big name from a large corporation that's known worldwide? Do you want to break up that pattern or do you want to stay with it? And then you get a list to review. And the review process should also be somewhat standardized or have some type of procedure to it, where you look at videos, you read bios, you can read articles, you can see what books they've written, and really then you narrow down that list, making sure
Yeah.
everybody's available, and then you make your priority and you go after them, and hopefully you get your first choice. But you need to have all
Yes.
of that set up beforehand.
Yeah.
And
Very
often what
important.
I see, Radhika, is this is really important here for me, is that, look, meeting professionals, meeting planners, event organizers, event producers wear a lot of hats. They have technology to
Yes.
worry about. They have the site. They have food and beverage. They have transportation. They have security. They have a lot on their plate. This particular piece of
Yes.
it, if you partner up with an organization like the Keynote Curators that can help you reduce that time and that searching and partner up and narrow it down and really dial in for you so that then you, who know your audience best and know what's going to work best for them, can have a tailored, curated list to choose from. That's where you're saving time and leveraging the expertise. And that to me is really
Yes.
the key.
Yes, it is very important. The very important point that you highlighted here is that, when you give the right role to the experts, they can really help you out. Because, of course, you can make the end moment decisions and everything that's under the organizer's hat. But people like you who are helping us to find, curators, and it's very important that an expertise person is helping out. Because, of course, the planning, the strategy that you just explained is just great to hear, because of course you can hear it, you can talk about it, but when you put it down or actually on papers and sit for it, it's going to take time. And yes, thinking about our audience, it's very important that we get the right speaker, because it may just get boring and the event won't be a hit. So
That's
it's
right.
very important for us to have the right kind of speakers helping with the audience, because that's the key for a great event. So thank you.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Seth, for sharing
You're
these
very welcome.
tips and tricks. And I'm definite that, this talk is going to help a lot of people in knowing what they actually should be doing when they're thinking about speaker management and, finding the right speaker for their next event. So thank you again, Seth, for joining us today here on Eva Talk. It was great talking to you. Any end words, anything that you want to share with us?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a joy and a
It's a
pleasure
pleasure
to
for
be
us.
connected and and share a conversation with you. This is what it's all about: being connected and helping each
Yes.
other out. And the last thing, and again, I might be beating the dead horse here, but whatever message you have, it doesn't always seem obvious to that person searching why a speaker fits a certain message. And again,
Yes.
lean on the expert, leverage their experience, and they'll be able to frame up and create a powerful context for why your message will fit that speaker. So it's just one more
Very.
deeper dive into that. But in the big picture, Radhika, thank you so much. Thank you 10 times. And just appreciate being connected and included.
Thank you. Thank you again, Sid. It was a complete pleasure for us to have you on board. And yes, so we keep tuned. We'll be definitely coming up with more such informative talks. Thank you for joining in Eva Talks. Thank you.